In this video, we'll be explaining how to write a good legal CV that will stand out with employers and recruiters and increase your chances of getting that job interview. The first thing to consider when writing a legal CV is formatting. On average, recruiters and employers take around 10 seconds to look at a CV before they decide whether they want to continue reading or not. So you want to make sure that in those initial 10 seconds, you grab the reader's attention and formatting and everything is in alignment.
So you want to make sure that your section headers are clear and bold, and you also want to make sure that your font and font size is consistent. So we would advise to make sure you choose a professional font such as Arial or Calibri, and the font size roughly should be 10.
Yes, and you also want to make sure that your CV is no longer than 2 pages, but you want to make sure that it's 2 full pages. You don't want 1.5.
So let's move on to the content of your CV. One of the most important things about your content is that you have to tailor your CV to the role. Your CV needs to be tailored to the job that you're applying for.
Yes, so what you want to do is you want to review the job description and pick out the things on that job description which you are able to demonstrate that you have done in previous roles, and make sure that those things are highlighted in your CV.
And make sure that the most relevant points are at the top. So you want to make sure that the most important thing that you did in that role are listed in the first few bullet points.
Yes, and you want to make sure that you're writing in a precise and concise manner. Lawyers write in a straightforward manner to ensure that their clients understand what they are saying. So you want to make sure that you are displaying this skill from the offset. Consider that the first person reading your CV is not normally a legal professional, but someone in HR. So you want to make sure that you are not using overly legalistic language, but getting straight to the point.
Also, when describing your key responsibilities in your previous position, make sure you also list your key achievements that you did in that role, and make sure that you use action words.
Especially if you work within a team, you want to make sure that you are not just listing what the team did, but you are highlighting what you specifically did within that team. A very key point that you also want to consider is accuracy and consistency.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that your CV has no mistakes in it whatsoever, and you want to make sure that the grammar you're using is consistent. For example, you do not want to start off using American English and then switch to British English, or vice versa.
Yes, and also you want to make sure that if you're talking about the current role that you're at, make sure you're using present tense, and if you're talking about a previous role, make sure that you're using past tense. To avoid these common mistakes, make sure that you print your CV and proofread it on paper.
Yes, and it's also a good idea to get someone else to double check your CV.
The final points that we have in relation to the content of your CV is do not embellish your CV.
You need to consider the fact that recruiters will question you based on your CV.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to demonstrate a time where you have carried out each of the things listed within your CV.
Moving on to the structure of your CV, let's start from the top. Number 1, personal details. Make sure that you include your name, contact details and address. There is no need for you to include your age or a photograph.
The next thing down that you may want to include on your CV is a short personal statement. This will include your experiences, your background and your skills. This should be no longer than around 2 to 3 sentences.
Depending on what stage you're at in your legal career, you may want to put your education or legal work experience first. So for example, if you've just come out of uni, then you probably want to put your education first. Whereas if you've been working for years and years and you've built up loads of work experience, then you may want to put your experience first. So it really depends on what is most important on your CV and the job you're applying for.
You may also want to differentiate between your legal work experience and your other work experience. If you've been working within the legal industry for a while, then you may only have legal work experience. But if you've had other jobs and roles, then you may want to distinguish your legal work experience from your other work experience.
Another section that you may want to include on your CV is volunteering. So for example, I know Jade, you went to Sri Lanka to volunteer, so you would put something like this under your volunteering section. However, if you're like me and you volunteered, for example, at the Citizens Advice Bureau, then this would go under your legal work experience.
The next point that you should include on your CV is your key achievements. So this is anything that you've done that could make you stand out on your CV. For example, with my key achievements, I have put down that I was a finalist in the Aspiring Solicitors Commercial Awareness Competition, as this shows that I am commercially aware, which is something that recruiters look for when applying for a legal role.
The next section you want to include on your CV is your skills. So for example, this can be any IT or language skills.
Yeah, so if you speak another language at home or you are fluent in another language, then you want to make sure that you include this on your CV, as this makes you bilingual, which is a key skill that recruiters look for. And one of the last things that you'll want to put on your CV is your interests. So this is anything outside of studying and working that you enjoy doing. Recruiters look at this as there is always extracurricular activities happening within the workplace, and they want to know that you're someone that will get involved.
And the last thing you want to put on your CV is your references. You don't need to include the name or personal details of your referee. You can simply state available on request.
So that brings us to the end of this video on legal CVs. We hope that we've given you key points which you could take away to increase your chance of getting that job interview and then proceeding on to getting that job.
Yes, and if you need any help with your CV, we offer a CV review service for £10. Just send us an email to TheLawProcess@gmail.com.
And with this legal CV review, we will go through your CV in detail via a Zoom call. We will also make sure that we look at any job descriptions for any jobs you're applying for and make sure that your CV matches that role. And finally, we will not just review your CV once, but we will make sure to review your CV, send it back to you, and then review it again to make sure you stand the best chance of getting that job.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, make sure you like and comment on all our videos.
Yes, and we shall see you in the next one.
Bye!